Hi, this is Sarit Switzer, and welcome to the It Is Taught podcast, a podcast devoted to the teachings of Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi as recorded in his most famous work, the Tanya. My hope for this show is to make these teachings accessible and relatable to the average person, regardless of prior Jewish education or affiliation. The episodes follow the prescribed daily study portions and are meant to serve as practical lessons in how to live your life as your true self and develop an authentic and powerful relationship with your Creator. I have personally experienced the effects the study of this work has had on me, and I'm excited to share what I can of this knowledge with you. So please join me on this journey of learning, self-growth, and connection with your source. Hi, and welcome to the It Is Taught podcast. This is episode 82 for the 11th of Adar Aleph in a leap year. And we've been discussing this idea of how the real identification of man and what, when we talk about who we are essentially, and especially, specifically when we talk about we're talking about people that this book has been written for, people who are Beinonim or striving to be Beinonim anyways. The identity of such a person is really their animal soul. And the godly soul, by contrast, which does reside within us, is really something which has been gifted to us by God, but it's not something that we really identify with on kind of an everyday level in the same way as our animal soul. And we spoke about this yesterday a little bit, about this idea of how we talk about most of our days involve thinking about how we're hungry, how we're thirsty, how we're tired, all these things that are really very animalistic kind of needs. And today we're going to take this a little bit further, where the Alter Rebbe is really going to bring home the fact that lest a person make the mistake and think of themselves as their real identity is their godly soul, and this is who they identify with. The Alter Rebbe is going to give an example of somebody who actually is at that level, somebody who we call tzaddik. The example he's going to give today is Hillel the elder, who he actually was a tzaddik, and he actually did get to the point where he was able to have his godly soul overcome his animal soul to such a point that his whole identity became the godly soul. But this is not true for the vast majority of us. And so, in my opinion, the reason why the Alter Rebbe is bringing in this point that we're going to learn today is really to show that stark distinction, so that like when we really see and understand what it looks like to be a true tzaddik and to really identify with your godly soul and have the animal soul be secondary, this is what it's like. And then we can come to understand that this is actually not how most of us live. So let's get straight into the text and see how the Alter Rebbe explains this. So the Alter Rebbe says, and this is like how Hillel Hazaken said to his students, so Hillel the elder, whenever he would go to eat, he would say that he was going to do kindness and chesed to the poor and lowly creature, who is the body. And so he really thought of his body as something foreign to him, something different than him. He didn't identify with his body. And this is why he said that he's going to go do some kindness with it. It's like he's going to give charity to the body, basically. And in the fact that he's feeding it, because he himself was really just the godly soul alone, because only the godly soul for Hillel the elder was vivifying his entire body and his flesh, because the negativity, the evil within him, which is in the animal soul that is vested within of his blood and his flesh, actually transformed into good and became encompassed in the holiness of the godly soul, like for real. And this is what happens in the case of Tzaddikim. But in the case of a Beinoni, in the case of an intermediate man, since the existence and the intensity of the animal soul is the vital animal soul that comes from the Sitra Achra, that is vested within the blood and the flesh, does not transform into good, then we consider it as this is the person themselves. So that's the section for today. It's pretty short. So just to kind of sum that up, is that for somebody like Hillel the elder or other tzaddikim, they are able to identify themselves as being their godly soul, because they have succeeded in having their godly soul win the battle of in the body over the animal soul, so that the godly soul is the one that's in charge, and the godly soul is now the one running the show. And, we've talked about this previously earlier in other episodes about this war that is constantly going on between the godly soul and the animal soul. So for Tzaddikim, they have won this war. They've had their godly soul take over. And so now the soul vivifying force within them is this godly soul, to such a point that they no longer identify with the body and with the flesh and bodily needs, to the point that we see that with Hillel the Elder, he actually, anytime he had to eat, he actually had to kind of like make this like conscious choice and say, oh, I'm going to go do something nice for my body, because, I know we need the body to live, and God created us like that. So I'm going to feed the body because I know it's important, but it's not because he felt this craving the way that we all do, and this like hunger in natural, quote unquote, human kind of sense. So this is not the case for most of us. Why? Because in the case of most of us, we did not yet win that war. So we still have that constant war going on between the godly soul and the animal soul. And if anything, the animal soul a little bit is kind of winning in the sense that it is the one that is giving us these primary impulses and desires and everything, which really shows that our true identity, at least as we are in the state of being a Beinonim, is really with our body and our animal soul. So I hope that was clear, and we're going to continue along these lines tomorrow. I'll speak to you then. Thanks for listening to the It Is Taught podcast, hosted by Sarit Switzer. This podcast is dedicated in loving memory of my maternal grandfather, Avraham Yitzchak ben Binyamin HaKohen of blessed memory. Music by Shoshana. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show, please share it with others and subscribe on YouTube, Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And make sure to leave us a 5-star review. To find out more about the It Is Taught project, including more information on my soon-to-be published book, please visit our website, itistaught.com. To catch the latest from me, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Looking forward to speaking with you tomorrow, and until then, have a great day.